Hello and welcome. This is Ellen from Rent Roll Starter, and I am joined by Amanda Turner from Opulence Property Queensland. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so much for being here. Now, what I want to talk about is social media. However, you've had your agency for about 18 months now, so you are a solopreneur. You are by yourself in business, but you are not alone because you have a little sidekick named Beaker. Will you tell us all who Beaker is?
Beaker is my pug, Puglia. So she's a pug crossed with Cavalier. So she actually looks like a giant pug. She has the height of the Cavalier, but throws everything back to pug. So she's my little go-to. She's my foot warmer in winter in the office. She's my, I'm frustrated, let's go for a walk, buddy. She's 3 years old and she's just with me all the time. Obviously, I can't take her to all meetings, but I do have, I've had a few clients where I've taken her with me, and it's been a good job.
And she has helped your social media a fair bit as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, she features in my social media stories probably mostly every day, if not every second day, weekends, and every now and then she's in an actual post, and people love her. I've connected with so many people just conversing about a pug, about how the kid loves pug, about how they have pugs, or even just generally talking about what breeder, where'd you go, because she's a local bred pug down in near Warwick. So I'm in Toowoomba at the moment. So she's over from Warwick. So it is a cool little conversation starter.
That's so very cool. Now, can you take us back and tell us about when you first started your rent roll? How long have you had your rent roll for?
I started organically growing my rent roll from zero, officially from July last year, unofficially from April last year. So a lot of work happened before I really officially opened, just for my OCDness in the new financial year. But nothing really took off until I officially opened. So yeah.
Okay. And were you using social media from day one, like from July?
No, I started dabbling in it around April time. So doing my research, doing all of that really rookie, like starting from basics, and reset my like I do, all set up all my business platforms, looked into branding and how I was going to go about the whole design, language, really got to know all that sort of stuff. So started off nice and slow.
Very, very cool. And how did you find people responded to you right in the early days when you were still kind of learning and finding your feet on social?
Well, before I actually officially opened, I'm a two-pronged effect. So although I have property management, I'm a buyer's agent as well. So it was very intriguing for people to see in my area an independent agent and also a buyer's agent mixed with the property management. So I had good interest from that, and a lot of talking, a lot of following started just growing within that rookie stage. Once I actually officially launched and really hit hard with who I am, what I'm actually doing, by that stage was able to use that rookie stage to really refine on my branding language, my branding postings, how I wanted to be perceived. So by the time I hit the ground running as such in July, I wouldn't say I was any pro, but I had people had a real understanding of who I was and where I was at. So they knew that I was good at what I did, but I was very vulnerable in a new early stage. And people appreciate the authenticity of someone who's like, hey, I'm new to this, but I'm genuinely good at what I do and I want to show you that. And they're just in it for the ride for the whole journey of the story. And I think people really appreciate that because it's less intimidating and more approachable, I think, to have conversations with. So I had a lot of conversations in my inboxes on Facebook and Instagram in the first 6 months.
I love that. And I tend to agree with you. I think the more real and the more human we are, the more likely our followers are to actually connect with us. So I think it's awesome that you had such great results so early on because you were just being you.
Yep. My first 5 clients were from social media.
I love that.
Yeah, my first 5 clients were by the end of August, and it was all from social media.
Oh, well done. That's awesome. So which platforms are you on and which one's your favourite?
Well, I have the traditional Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. So I find LinkedIn to be very, probably more my buyer's agency and very formal education into market and stuff. But my absolute favourite is definitely Instagram, just because it is quite quick and easy to use, and it now it integrates with all three. So you've got Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and you can do one post and shoot it out. So from an efficiency point of view, as a one-person business, it is fantastic. Like you can just basically make sure that it's all set out, that it complements all the platforms, and press go. It also has the location tags, which is really important as an agent, because obviously people want to know, okay, call agent, where are they actually based, or where are they servicing as such? Because now obviously we work virtually. It gives me the freedom to service Toowoomba, Brisbane, North, or the Gold Coast. So people can see that I am actually in these areas, and I post in these areas, purposely tagging to target my audience in certain areas depending on what I'm actually posting. So sometimes I'll talk about a Brisbane market, and Brisbane apartments and construction is quite big. I deal with a lot of developers there, so I talk a bit more about that. And that is really prominent in Toowoomba. Investors are looking for that investment in Brisbane, so I tag areas like that. So that is really important, as well as hashtags. Hashtags are important to a point, probably more locality. So I like doing that as well, just to algorithms and stuff, obviously within the platforms. As you get more into reading, algorithms like you to use that. So that helps pick up the post as well. There's a lot you can do and personalize to suit your brand toning in Instagram that not necessarily Facebook or LinkedIn can do for you. So probably from an audience point of view, it's probably also where I know my target audience are. So I think that's why I enjoy it most. It's a lot more creative, I think.
I tend to agree with you. I still find that most of my audience is more responsive on Facebook, but I'm with you. I actually enjoy Instagram more. It's just, I agree. It's just a bit more creative, a little bit more fun.
Yeah. It's just like, it's a double tap. Whereas I think it's literally down to once you get into, like, obviously the business and owning your own rent roll, you do become a little bit more aware about how people behave and how consumers are responding. So that double tap is like something so easy. And then you go onto a Facebook and you're like, oh no, I actually have to press like the like button. It's those things that make such a difference with interaction.
Yeah, it really, really does. It makes you think how lazy we are, really, as social media users.
Just holding it on the side, it's just thumb taps, right?
That's right. So can you talk us through how you plan out your social media? Because you spend a little bit of time doing a bit of planning. What does that look like for you?
For me, it's definitely like a me thing. It's not generally whatever I think that everyone else does. But I'm pretty thoughtful about my posts because I'm pretty targeted on my purpose. So I spend probably one Saturday a month. I'll sit down at my favorite cafe, usually probably after 10 o'clock, so it's a little more quiet. And I just kind of go through 4 to 6 weeks of planning, basically a calendar. I print out a calendar. I like drawing and writing. I feel like the connection between the brain and the hand, it all sits a bit better. And then I go through and I plan like what information I'm going to talk about for the 6 weeks, because trend and information, it's almost like skincare, like it's got to stick. So you got to keep repeating things, and it's like a chapter. So you got to go through this trend and repeat things over 6 weeks, so that people can take it on and understand that it's not just a one-off opinion and a one-off statement thrown out. Like you'll go back and you'll revisit that information and elaborate a bit more. So there's a trend throughout that 6 weeks that I follow, and it's a trend for my PM and it's a trend for my buyer's agency side. So they work cohesively together. So certain days I'll plan out, I'll do posts on certain things, and some of them are a bit repetitive week to week. So some weeks I'll go through and do information on an appraisal in areas I've done. So I'll focus on, for example, Kedron. I was quite busy there last month, so I did a couple of appraisals on a house, on houses, and then I did a couple of appraisals on units. So we did like what we were seeing for the averages, what we're seeing for the averages on both units and houses. We did a little post about it, and then a demographic snapshot on that area. So I would pick, say, a Wednesday to do that, and then throughout the whole 6 weeks, every Wednesday, it was just a different suburb on information that I was doing. So you can do a lot really quickly if you're going to be doing a little bit of repetitive stuff with different information. Once I got that in, then I had to fill in a few social things, because obviously you want that engagement. You're not just a robotic like computer spitting out information. People love education, but it's like we want to see some fun things too. So who doesn't love interior design? Or, I post a picture about a view I seen if I was doing like an inspection somewhere really cool on a routine inspection. If the tenants had animals and they were okay with me posting about it, like it's great. It's one of my favorite parts of the job, so I'm going to share that. I get to meet all these animals. Llamas the other day, so you'll be seeing llamas next month. So basically it's just kind of figuring out a trend, topics, and then putting it all in. There's usually 2 to 3 blogs within that period as well. So usually in a week, 3 of those time slots or those day slots will be about blogs, referring to, captions out of that blog, information, a bit more elaborated stats, and then, linking it to my website about here's a full article. And they all look different on different platforms. So what I post on Instagram may look a bit different on Facebook, but they're similar, but then mostly nothing like that on my LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very different platform for a very different targeted audience. It's very formal in the sense of I don't post about my dog on LinkedIn. No one really cares about that. I talk more about working with independent sales agents. So I do a lot of my leads come with working with them. So, I'm talking about how I assist other independent agents or even mortgage brokers and stuff about my expertise in my field as a property manager and understanding the market and where it's at and why they need me on their unofficial, team for a second opinion and independent review. And like that. And it takes about 6 weeks. It does take me about 2 to 3 hours. But that's me. If I wasn't so tedious and wanting to make sure every basically platform had their identity and targeted and fiddled and tweaked, probably take me about an hour and a half.
So you mentioned sharing some blogs. I know you're a member of the Content Club with us here. Are some of those blogs some of the blogs that we provide as part of the Content Club?
So 2 out of the 3 will always be from Content Club. So it actually, they all complement each other, as you know. So the trend and information always complement each other. So the third one is usually something that I do that's complementive, but also completely different. So very educational piece that's relevant to the current, topic that I'm also talking about in those 6 weeks. With the blogs I do get from Content Club, I do tweak them quite a bit, as well as then from the Content Club, you're supplying suggestions in regards to captions and everything to do, especially like with Instagram. It's basically just taking that and reiterating it into what would be an Opulence property Queensland language and communication and how I'm perceived in the market. So some people are really friendly and some people are really short with information. I'm really elaborative and I like to get like really nitty gritty. Sometimes I have short captions, not very often. I'm very informative in my posts.
I love it. I love it. And I love how, because I follow you on social media, and I love how sometimes I'll see some of your posts on social media and I'll quite often go back to the Content Club for that month just to figure out whether it was one of our posts or whether it was one of your posts, because I know that you just customize the Content Club posts so beautifully that it just sounds like you. It doesn't sound like I wrote it. It just sounds like you. And I love that.
I think it's a really important part. And I know that, which is so much more like open now, to be able to be, as an independent agent, you really have to make it your own. So it's so easy to take that content stuff and you can see the gist of what you're doing and what you're, trying to educate. But it is very easy to tweak. So that's why I love the Content Club. It's basically 80% of my content. And then basically what the 20% is basically a few random posts of Beaker and a few buyer's agency posts as well. But they all very complimented and inspire me for my other posts as well.
Oh, that's so awesome. So if you were able to share a couple of your biggest tips with us on social media for rent roll growth, what would your biggest tips be?
One, it is so okay to be overwhelmed. There's agencies and personal influencers and everything social media right now, and you are under so much pressure to perform and get it right the first time. So it's okay to feel that way, and it's also okay to not do it right, because there is actually no right way. Sometimes even having a grammar issue, and I'm not saying that it should be badly written, but if you miss a comma, if you miss a full stop, it's okay, because everyone does. And I think it shows you that you actually are on a more personable level, that it's okay. It creates more of that approachability. Whereas the more how do you feel when you read a post from, say, quite high up league law firm, for example? It's quite intimidating because it is perfect and pristine and it's probably checked by 4 different people. I can't get Beaker to read my posts, so I just have to basically get on Grammarly, have a good look and post it. So don't get overwhelmed, go with the flow, and you know, if you make a mistake, it's okay.
Yeah.
I would say that first and foremost, the biggest tip is get to know what your brand is. Spend time. I know that you actually provide in your, I'm not sure if it's in Content Club, it was in one of your educations about how to really use social media. And there is a few different templates around, but there is, all you got to know is like, what do you really want from your communication of brand? What do you want to use the social media for? What do you want out of it return? So with all my posts, I check over 3 points. First is brand tone. So now that I figured out what I want from using social media for my brand and who my brand is, as Opulence Property, I make sure, is it speaking my story? Is it speaking my values? So if it's not in line with targeting who I wanted my clients to be attracted to, what my tenants should probably know, they could be potentially, you know, buyers or clients in the future, I don't post it. It's spammy. So we all know the social media spam, the buy me, buy me, buy me, and you get steak knives. Like all of those ones make me feel like, oh, that's really annoying. You know, there's no need for that. I don't post it. Doesn't it make me feel like that? If it would annoy me as someone reading it, I won't post it because it's going to annoy the people I want to read it. And then thirdly is always value add. It's basically, is it informative? Is it storytelling? Is it about me or is it about my brand? So one of my biggest things about my brand, it's not about me as Amanda Turner. It's about me as my Opulence Property and how I help my clients and how I help my tenants and how I help my buyers. So although it's me getting these results, it's more about how my client benefits from the result or how we collectively got together and how the mutual goal was achieved. You can definitely toot your own horn and you can do it gracefully. So things like, I got a beautiful review from a really lovely tenant the other day and I posted it. But instead of just that post, I wrote on there why it's important to have that happy tenant. That tenant is now staying on for another 2 years, which at the moment is, and it's at a really high rent, by the way. So it is an absolute dream for an owner right now in COVID. 2 years at this point in time, done. Like they're signed, that's one of their investment properties. They have 5. That's one of their investment properties. They don't have to worry about it at this point. The tenants are both in solid industries, so there's no need at this point in time to worry about it. So right now, stress alleviated. We're coming into the end of the year where the most stress builds up coming into Christmas. So that is why you need a happy tenant. Happy tenants stay long. So I went into, although it was a bit of a spook, it's education into why that's important.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Amanda. That's just amazing. And I know that as I scroll through your feed, your brand comes through in your feed so strongly, so clearly. There's no doubt what you're about or who you're there to serve. And so you've done that incredibly well.
And like I said, I don't feel like someone could turn around and tell me I'm doing it wrong because it's true to my tone. And I think that's one of the biggest things to new brands. If it's true to what you're doing, it's not wrong.
That's right. I love that. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your journey with us and also sharing your little pieces of advice about how you've done social media, how you're using the Content Club in your social media, how you do your planning with your social media, and the fact that you can't get it wrong. I think that's just so valuable for us all to know. So thank you so much for spending the time.
Thank you for having me. I hope it's of value of your viewers and I'm sure we'll grow and learn together.
Yeah, I think it really will be. Now, if you're watching this video, you are very welcome to go over and check Amanda's socials out. I'll pop her Instagram handle on the screen down here, and you can go and have a little stalk and go and check out what she's doing over there. And maybe send her a little DM to let her know that you saw her in this video. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda, and I cannot wait to catch up with you again soon.
No worries. Thank you. Have a good day.